UFC 262, the main event, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. This is the detailed prediction and betting tips for this exciting main event matchup for the world title. Charles Oliveira is absolutely streaking on a tear. We'll quickly look at the wins for him. I mean, it's been impressive action constantly. I mean, he's looked way better than if you look back at Oliveira, in 2010 coming into the UFC as a tough Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist. He's actually really developed an overall game. You look back at his early days. I actually remember that fight with Efrain Escudero. Was some ups and downs. Found his way, though, as far as 2017, the last loss, that was against Paul Felder, has been absolutely fantastic since then. He needed to move up to 155 because he was normally fighting down at featherweight, at least for a while, and he needed to build the proper frame for it. Saw success even against Will Brooks in the lightweight division. That was before he went on the tear, though. Clay Guida, Christos Giagos, Jim Miller, David Tamar, Nick Lentz, Jared Gordon, Kevin Lee, and Tony Ferguson. That's a pretty good streak, and those are some really good names. Michael Chandler on the other side, Bellator world champion, Bellator probably most popular fighter, or at least most well-liked fighter. I know Patricio Pitbull may technically be the best fighter ever in Bellator. His last loss was against Patricio Pitbull in somewhat of a controversial stoppage, but we'll all acknowledge he was legitimately put down in that matchup. Sidney Outlaw knocks him out. Benson Henderson knocks him out. Dan Hooker knocks him out. 2 minutes, 59 seconds. In his last three, he has not seen a fight go into the 3 minutes of that first round. That's going to be something to note, and that's something we'll be talking about a little bit more here. Bring up some notes for both guys. And honestly, the stylistic matchup, I really enjoy. I think we're in store for a super exciting world title fight. And in my opinion, probably the two guys that truly did deserve the shot as far as what they've done for MMA. Of course, Michael Chandler just won UFC fight. I understand how some people were maybe a bit upset that he was given that shot. At least other fighters, Dustin Poirier had no interest in fighting him. But Charles Oliveira is here to fight, and he takes on Michael Chandler. Let's first talk about the style of Charles Oliveira. As far as his striking goes, you have a very technical kickboxer at this point, improved tenfold, 100 times better than the young Charles Oliveira. He's actually really good with his range management, and he has excellent straight punches. Also, rip nasty low kicks. And I mean, he's a bit unpredictable because you see unique things. He'll throw wheel kicks. He'll throw jumping front kicks. I'm impressed by the overall growth of the stand-up game by Charles Oliveira. No matter what happens in this fight, super impressed by how much better we've seen from Charles Oliveira, because he's coming to his own. He's coming to a new set of skills at this point. Very fast starter now too, which I do like. We really saw that in the fight against Tony Ferguson, and he's also extremely athletic as well. Now with grappling, Charles Oliveira, master when the fight hits the floor. Excellent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all-time submission leader inside of the UFC. His top pressure and control is extremely high level. We saw it against Tony Ferguson, but we'll bring up some factors. Good wrestlers have given him a bit of potential issues in the past, not threatening to finish him, at least as of recent. Kevin Lee, you look back at that fight with Lee found himself on top, maybe even pulled off that first round, had moments for sure in the first round against Oliveira. Was not nearly as easy as it looked against Tony Ferguson. Granted, has Oliveira improved since that Kevin Lee fight? I would absolutely expect him to have. But it's something to note that a very good wrestler like Kevin Lee at least wasn't completely manhandled for the most part on the ground. He was obviously in a few bad positions, but was able to find himself out of it. But with that improved striking, the threat of the grappling here with Oliveira, astronomically better. But now let's look on the other side to Michael Chandler. We have to first acknowledge the man is an absolute physical specimen and extremely athletic and explosive. You look at the stand-up game, very good boxing, definitely more of a boxing-heavy attack. His style, lots of movement, but constant pressure. He'll try to set up his shots really intelligently. He'll make you think low. He'll throw that straight to the body, and then he'll come up high. We saw it against Dan Hooker. You look in fights in Bellator, does a lot of that body work to make you think low, and then he comes up top with a massive punch. Very good setups. That's what I'd say about Chandler. With the striking, extremely good setups. Granted, it's also because you have to respect the man's wrestling. Oliveira, on the other side, probably won't have that same fear of Chandler's wrestling since he's so capable with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game on the ground. Now, also something to note from Chandler that I think he does probably better than 99.9% of fighters. He closes distance at a super high level. The way he finds himself in the pocket, it's extremely good, and he's gotten so much better at it in his past 3 fights. Drops Sidney Outlaw, closing the pocket, lands the straight. Drops Benson Henderson, closes the distance, lands the straight. And then he puts, a very high-level striker and Dan Hooker down with a massive punch that was set up with the body shots, feinting low, coming up high with the wide hook. Puts down Dan Hooker in that fight. The wrestling game of Michael Chandler is extremely high level. His takedowns are excellent. He sets him up with punches, and he's never been submitted. But one thing you don't want to maybe find out if Charles Oliveira on the ground can give you problems in the night of the fight. I feel like Charles Oliveira's submission game is probably better than anything Chandler has ever seen. He needs to be very careful on the ground. I've seen him in the past in some bad positions, and his athleticism and explosiveness allows him to escape positions, maybe not being as technical as he should. A guy like Charles Oliveira will absolutely capitalize. Granted, I still believe Michael Chandler is going to go with a stand-up heavy game plan here. Now, there are weaknesses, I think, for both guys on the side, and one that I really want to note for Michael Chandler, sometimes grabs at those low kicks and the body kicks. If he incorrectly times one and Oliveira notices, head kick from Oliveira could definitely land, and that could be a factor in this fight from the outside because Oliveira, the longer guy and the taller guy of the two. Now, there's also something that Oliveira that I would consider a weakness that he has. When you see fighters get close in the boxing range, he's hittable. The chin is there to be touched. You look against Kevin Lee. Yes, Lee did not win that fight and didn't have a great performance. Landed a few strikes on the feet. Michael Chandler is a level above Kevin Lee's striking game, and this is a serious fight for Oliveira. This is probably the toughest fight of his entire career against Michael Chandler. It's going to be a crazy bout, and honestly, couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Now, let's look at the result. How does this fight go? Well, I first want to talk about the best methods to victory for both guys. If you're looking on the side of Oliveira, the favorite here, I think don't trade punches with Chandler early. Don't get anywhere close to the pocket. Stay on that outside with kickboxing range. Use leg kicks and jabs to pick Chandler apart and move. Stay away. Don't even necessarily be that concerned with winning the first round. Just find yourself in good position to go later. Start working down at the body. I wouldn't necessarily say throw crazy body kicks constantly because Chandler can wrestle. Now, will he probably choose to engage in the grappling with Oliveira? I'd be surprised if he does so, but maybe lands a takedown and just throws him to the floor, which will, I guess, definitely secure him the round. Oliveira still wants to do enough to maybe win the round, but don't worry too much about that first round because I do believe Chandler, at least in his last 3, that first round has been his money. All his fights have been less than 3 minutes. I think in the first 3 minutes of this fight, Charles Oliveira needs to be extremely cautious and intelligent. Hands up high. Do not sit in the pocket. His best bet is mixing in a bit of body attack from the outside, slowly but surely, but being cautious of doing so. And I think he can then fatigue Chandler, work towards finishing Michael Chandler by submission after the second round, maybe even edging into the third. By no means is Chandler's gas tank an issue, but I definitely could see him slowing down a bit as the fight gets later, especially if Oliveira is constantly, or not constantly, but at least consistently attacking the body of Michael Chandler. Now, you look at Chandler on the other side. To me, the best means of victory is going to be this for Michael Chandler. Look to come forward and get inside of boxing range. Feinting shots, slipping strikes being thrown by Oliveira. Be cautious if he shoots for a takedown. Please be cautious. Don't leave your neck there because Oliveira will absolutely collect the neck. I think he needs to look to set up the power punches from the close range, and I do believe he can achieve this feat here on Charles Oliveira. The straight of Michael Chandler is absolute dynamite. His straight to the body hurts. Look for him to be throwing body straights against Oliveira. Make Oliveira think low and then come high. My prediction here, who do I actually think is going to win this fight? What is the outcome when this cage door closes? Who leaves world champion? I have to ride with my man, Michael Chandler. Longtime Bellator veteran and champion at points, And I mean, the guy has an amazing skill set. Let me quickly pull up the best fight odds because I do want to dive into the bets a little bit and talk about maybe some props. If you can find Michael Chandler at that plus money, man, throw a little something down. I think he's going to have an excellent performance, and I think he's going to get that knockout of Charles Oliveira. As we talked about, though, there are keys to victory, and there's a path for Oliveira, but can he avoid getting hit against Michael Chandler? I believe Chandler's going to land here. And I think he's going to close that distance early. Michael Chandler wins by a TKO has been bet up. If you can find the plus 200 or better, maybe play that prop down. Another bet that I think that I like here, maybe, is if you really want to be riskier. Of course, this is higher risk. Chandler first round. He's got his last 3 in the first. Maybe this one's the first as well. Plus 500, sprinkle it. Don't go crazy, but you could most definitely sprinkle that if you want to really bet it like the true Mystic Mac, because this is the detailed prediction. My prediction is Michael Chandler knockout with the hands, leaning straight right hand. Maybe he sets up a wide hook similar to Hooker, but I think that straight right gets it done here against Oliveira. Chandler knockout first round plus 700. I'm personally going to sprinkle that just a bit, play with it, and see if we can land. If you like Oliveira on the other side, of course, submission props for Oliveira are very valid. If you want something that's an absolute lock, no matter where it goes, I really think the fight does not go the distance. Both guys finishers, both guys excellent at what they do, and both guys are going to absolutely come to fight and put on a show for that world title. But the minus money here is large at this point. I believe it was a lot closer when we did the full card betting breakdown. Yeah, those have gotten wide. So if it's me betting, I'm betting Chandler straight up at plus 115. I'm betting Chandler knockout at the plus 200 range, and I'm also throwing down for Chandler at the big money, plus 500 to 700. Chandler first round knockout. He's known to get fights done in the first. If you like Oliveira on the other side, maybe you can throw the prop bet on Oliveira's submission, because that would be his key to victory, and that would be, at least in my opinion, the most likely outcome. I don't necessarily think this fight enters the championship rounds. Fight won't start round 4 is minus 205. I mean, it's more likely that this fight doesn't even get to the third. They're seeing this fight as 2.5 or less. If you like the under 2.5 at minus 155, I think there's high possibility of success. Or you could just bet fight won't start round 3 at minus 125. I think you're probably better off doing that than the fight under 2.5 here. There's definitely some better props than you can make than that under 2.5. So many ways to look at it. Overall, though, I think we are in store for an excellent main event. May the best man win this matchup. This is my take on it. This is what I see happening. And I think Michael Chandler is going to impress us all and earn himself a world title. The biggest moment of his career. I have some crazy theories that maybe we see Chandler win here. Maybe he ends up fighting Poirier or McGregor in the fall time. And I don't know, maybe Islam Makhachev's name works the way to the top, gets a title fight, and if Chandler somehow beat him, Khabib comes back. Or maybe we'll see Khabib Chandler sometime next year. Maybe he'll give Khabib the fire once again, because this is a new matchup. This is a guy that hasn't faced defeat yet in the UFC, and I am very excited to see what happens when this cage door closes and the endless possibilities of what happens after. Whoever wins, I think the lightweight division is in an amazing place, even without Khabib. I hope you guys enjoyed this detailed prediction and betting tips video. Make sure that you all smash that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. You can check out the full card prediction videos and the best bets for UFC 262. I will link that inside of the description. Also, if you're new here and you don't know, we do the weigh-in recaps where we go over all the predictions and bets once again after we see the weigh-ins. And, you know, sometimes it does change the opinion when you see the guys facing off, when you see their physiques, when you see them on the scale, how good they look. So make sure you guys tune into that as well. I appreciate you all so much for being here. Follow my social media, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I will see you all in the next video.